When quality is entirely subjective in the realm of art critique, how have we defined collectively what is considered pulp? How do we determine the line between highbrow and commercial entertainment? While a definitive caste system might not exist, I imagine everyone has at least some concept of what works fall into the category of empty calories art. Works that satisfy baser desires or aim for younger or less concerned audiences. Nostalgia plays a big part here too. Favorite Saturday morning cartoons or silly classics from past decades shine ever brighter in the context of one's own past. These notions make it difficult to define Giant Robo, The Day the Earth Stood Still, a piece that aims to turn the hierarchy on its head, a cheesy, melodramatic Saturday morning cartoon that takes itself so seriously and is presented with such honesty that it becomes an opera of gigantic robots and martial arts mysticism. At the same time, it explores a surprisingly mature perspective on the conflicts between good and evil. I managed to find a used copy of Media Blaster's box set for a pretty low price. With all 7 episodes and the extra Ginrei OVAs, this is the most complete package one can find. The DVDs themselves nail the presentation. The menus feature grainy black and white clips from their respective episodes with appropriate samples from the stellar soundtrack. It really helps convey the nostalgia for the era that the 90s OVA is paying homage. Extra features are largely the standard affair, trailers, galleries, and some decent commentary from the production staff. One notable feature is the original English dub track from when the series was licensed by Manga Entertainment. Including the original Japanese dub, that makes 3 options for language. I personally much prefer the dub recorded for the Media Blasters version from NYAV Post. Though the original dub cast does have some great voice actors, including Steve Bloom, it lacks the direction and writing quality of the NYAV Post dub. Mike Sinter-Niklas's voice direction elevates the dialogue to be on par with the quality of the rest of the work. His talents have been proven in the past with NYAV Post's dub of the 1997 Berserk anime. In fact, almost the entire cast of the Berserk dub makes an appearance in Giant Robo. Greg Abbey as Chief Chujo, Kevin Collins as Professor Go, Mark DeRyson doing a rather excellent French accent as Kenji Murasame, Dan Green as Genya, and Mike Pollock as Issei. Some will inevitably prefer the Japanese, and that's a great choice too, as it's apparently an all-star cast. However, I think the newer English dub best captures the delicate balance between straight-faced cheese and genuinely gripping drama that makes this OVA so special. The series opens with a brilliantly nostalgic 50s-style narration introducing the hyper-utopian setting and the lurking evil that threatens its peaceful existence. This intro alone is enough to establish the tone of the entire series. The idyllic setting recalls the worlds of early science fiction, especially those featured in comics like Astro Boy or Metropolis. The villains are equally classical, with their pointed hoods and Mickey Mouse white gloves, swearing their allegiance in a manner rife with Third Reich allegory. It's also the first time the show introduces the term experts of justice. It's hard to imagine any other name for a team of heroes filling me with as much giddy excitement as the experts of justice. These aren't just a loosely aligned league of superpowered do-gooders. These are the premier experts in the ever-evolving field of justice. Finally, it concludes on the introduction of the titular Giant Robo himself, heralded as the greatest robot on the planet. It's hard to separate that descriptor from the stern-faced, pharaoh-headed titan that is Giant Robo. The way the camera pans way down as he delivers the final punch of the intro, with the horns blaring an extended finale, speaks to the sheer awe of a giant robot, a feeling that isn't often evoked by his spacefaring, fast-moving counterparts. As fans of old-school giant robot anime might remiss, there's something more to Giant Robo because he isn't simply a suit. Being a willful entity of his own, he not only becomes a more imposing figure, but a unique source of dramatic tension for the series. Watching this brief intro before every episode never ceases to excite me for another installment of the greatest OVA on the planet. Giant Robo's characterization is key to its pathos. Every principal actor is imbued with a swiftly recognizable archetype, but at least one subtle wrinkle that humanizes their otherwise cartoonish personality. Professor Go seems the wise and pragmatic brains of the operation, but he always seems the fastest to let his calm facade crack under the pressure of the situation, often reaching the point of near panic attack before apologizing and aggressively reining himself in. Ivan, a seemingly straightforward lackey villain complete with a stereotypically evil cackle, garners genuine sympathy and a manic and mournful aside for his home country of Bashtarl, a nation wiped from existence by the accident that preceded the creation of the all-important Shizuma Drive. Other fans of Giant Robo are especially enamored with Alberto, easily one of the greatest antagonists in any anime. He embodies the lawful evil alignment, exuding an immense presence of dignity and pride. He falls into the category of villainy that only sees power and strength as valuable human qualities, but it is his single-minded dedication to the pursuit of victory over challenging foes that makes him so endearing, especially when his pride is inevitably wounded by the sinister and underhanded actions of his associates, Big Fire. The cast plays to their strengths well, and often barely a few seconds of screen time is all one needs to understand what they're about and what motivates them. Dan Green's Genya is especially noteworthy for his imposing delivery that grants him an illusory arrogance that begins to falter under the weight of tragedy. Masamichi Amano's score does much of the heavy lifting here too. Taizo and Yoshi, who serve as the wizened veterans of the experts and substitute parental figures for the young Daisaku Kusama, are exquisitely entwined with their explosive leitmotifs. Giant Robo's anthology nature makes it difficult to spend large amounts of time on any one character, so it's impressive that the cast is so readily likable. It's important that the characters elicit an emotional response, because it doesn't take long to realize the expert's battle is a losing one. Seeing such endearing characters driven to their most dire situations is simply enthralling. The fantastic orchestrated soundtrack adds to the drama. From the uplifting fanfare of Rush, Issei, and Yoshi, to the commanding march of Theme of Big Fire, and the unforgettable Una furtiva lagrima from Gaetano Donizetti's L'Elixir d'Amour, underscoring the horrific tragedy of Bashtarl. The score rises to bombastic heights in climactic battles and haunting peals in character moments. Giant Robo succeeds on many levels, as a testament to the quality of hand-produced cell animation, as a tribute to one of the most influential creators in the medium of manga and anime, Mitsutaro Yokoyama, but most of all, it succeeds as a drama. I'm not certain when exactly it was I realized that Giant Robo was more than just some cheesy, nostalgic gem. It may have been watching Alberto offer a heartfelt cry of genuine remorse for the loss of an adversary. The turning point could have been seeing the villainous Genya take hold of Daisaku's hand to reassure him as the child called out to his own father in his sleep. Perhaps it was seeing the impeccable Giant Robo reduced to actual tears from a crushing defeat wrought by Daisaku's naive bravado. It is when these moments are scored with the music composed by Masamichi Amano that Giant Robo truly soars to its greatest heights. Melodrama has become a term typically assigned to moments that lack a feeling of deserved gravitas. Certainly, given Giant Robo's dense cast and brisk pace, it relies on the score to sell those moments of emotion, but one is never forced to carry the other. The series quickly immerses you in its emotional wavelength of outrageous acts of self-sacrifice and tragically sympathetic villains. All of it might have been hard to take if it wasn't for how jubilant the execution is. Giant Robo is still a celebration at its core, not some jaded genre deconstruction. Seeing extravagant powers clash as tormented heroes mount a harrowing defense against noble yet cold-hearted villains is inspired. The conflicts don't aim at a young and defenseless audience. Rather, they seek to complicate the viewer's perceptions of wrong and right. Nothing makes this more apparent than the ending. If nothing else, this is the moment that the OVA truly rises above its station. This is a point of contention for some fans, but I believe that the ending of Giant Robo expertly matches the emotive thread of the series and provides an appropriate apex to the dramatic intensity built up throughout all 7 episodes. Giant Robo, The Day the Earth Stood Still, is the kind of production that simply doesn't happen anymore. A gargantuan effort of cell animation that took nearly 7 years to complete. A marvel of absurdity fitting of the show's theatrics. A deserved tribute to Mitsutaro Yokoyama's near entire body of work. Giant Robo should be heralded as a true classic, and the good word of its gospel spread to anime fans both young and old.